Hello everyone and welcome to the weird, scary and horrible parts of humanity. Today we are looking at one of the most infamous crimes in the state of Ceará in Brazil, the Chacina dos Portugueses, massacre of the Portuguese. And I will have to apologise in advance for my accent as I do not speak Portuguese. Luis Miguel Militao Guerriero was born on the 19th of May 1955 in Barreiro, Portugal. He was the son of Carlos José das Dores Guerriero and Carolina Assunção Militao Guerriero. His first job was as a plumber's assistant and he then joined the Portuguese Navy. However, in 1996 he got a criminal conviction for robbery in Portugal, but the nature of this robbery was never provided. In 1997 he left the Navy and in the same year he would marry. However, this marriage would fall apart and he would eventually divorce in 2001. Prior to his divorce he asked a friend, Antonio Correia Rodrigues, who went by Tavares, for 500,000 escudos, the currency of Portugal, before she adopted the euro in 1999. This was the equivalent of €2,500. However, he stopped working and following the breakdown of his marriage, he began to suffer from depression and loneliness. He decided to escape to Brazil to avoid paying back the 500,000 escudos. Getting a new passport on the 13th of February 2001, in the same month he would arrive in Sao Paulo, and from there he would head to Fortaleza, 2,997 kilometers away. Initially spending his money on prostitutes and drinking, he ended up staying in Praia do Futuro, one of the most famous beaches in Fortaleza, and started a drink stand which quickly failed. He then set up a dance club called Vila Latina Danceteria on Praia do Futuro. The BBC would report that this nightclub was used for prostitution and may have involved the trafficking of women to Europe. He rented the shack from his brother-in-law Manuel. He ended up marrying a girl called Maria, who he got pregnant. His friend, to whom he owed the 500,000 escudos, Antonio Correia Rodrigues, who Guerriero would tell O Povo newspaper that after his divorce he became his best friend, and Folha de Sao Paulo reported that he lived with Rodrigues' family for 3 months following his divorce, as well as Vitor Manuel Martins, Joaquim Silva Mendes, Manuel Joaquim Barros, Joaquim Fernandes Martins, and Joaquim Manuel Pestana da Costa. All offered to visit him from Portugal and would bring presents from his parents. All arrived together into Fortaleza early in the morning hours of the 12th of August 2001 from Portugal. He then convinced them to go with him to his shack, the Vila Latina Danceteria, on Praia do Futuro, where they arrived at 1 a.m. They were greeted with whiskey and beer and snacks and were promised that girls, most likely prostitutes, would be arriving soon. When the girls didn't arrive, they said they wanted to leave and go to their hotel. However, Guerriero said that the time would be now or never again, which was a signal for 4 other individuals to come and attack the man. At the time, on Guerriero was a revolver, knife, stick, stones, and other blunt instruments. The other 4 men were Manuel Lourenço Cavalcante, who was nicknamed Claudio. He was single and worked in security at Vila Latina Danceteria. He was born in Quiteranópolis in Ceará on the 19th of July 1971 and was the son of Antonio Leandro Cavalcante and Raimunda Lourenço Cavalcante. He lived together with Guerriero at the time of the attack. Leonardo Souza dos Santos was single, a bricklayer, and was born in Fortaleza on the 29th of July 1975. He was the son of Raimundo Guimes dos Santos and Teresina Souza dos Santos. Raimundo Martins da Silva Filho was born in Acaruá in Ceará and was married and a waiter. He was the son of Raimundo Martins da Silva and Maria Valniar da Silva. He was described as the most violent of the 5 individuals. Finally, José Joandia Pereira Ferreira was married at a security guard at Vila Latina d'Ancatriera. He was the son of Maria Alcantara Ferreira and Francisca Pereira. He was born on the 11th of May 1966 in Manguape in Ceará. Filho would subdue the men with a revolver and was the first to arrive, ordering them to lie on the ground. The remaining 3, Ferreira, Santos and Cavalcante, then arrived. Santos and Ferreira were armed with knives and rope and tied up the Portuguese victims and led them into the women's bathroom, where they were locked inside. Their credit cards were stolen and given to Guerriero, with the victims forced to provide their passwords and pins at gunpoint. Guerriero left at 3 a.m. to head to Iracema Beach and planned to drain the credit cards, and informed Filho, once this had taken place, that the man could be executed. The 6 individuals were knocked out with blows to their heads by clubs, and they were buried in the kitchen at Vila Latina d'Ancatriera in clandestine graves, 3 meters wide and 2 meters deep, having been drugged. They died through being buried alive, but died only a few minutes after they were buried. According to the medical examiner for the state of Ceará, Francisco Samayo, 2 had been shot and the others had been strangled and beaten. The Associated Press reported that each body was on top of the other. Samayo stated that he had never seen such terrible violence inflicted upon a victim. In his book that was never published, Guerriero would write, "Their faces were filled with panic, and I felt that some of them suspected my involvement in the kidnapping. I looked at Tavares and saw that he had his head down, looking dejected, and he felt betrayed by me. It was the last time I saw those 6 men, compatriots and family men. When the first victim, Antonio Rodriguez, answered the phone, he was beaten with a stick. They took the body and threw it into the hole in the kitchen. Ronaldo went to get the second hostage, Antonio Martins. The plan was the same. They took the third, Joaquim Pestano. He was thrown into the hole with the others. A combined 46,000 Brazilian reais was withdrawn from their accounts. In 2001, the minimum weekly wage in Brazil was 297 Brazilian reais, and today in 2025, the average salary in Brazil is 40,200 reais. So in 2001, 46,000 Brazilian reais was a small fortune. The other men were given 2,000 Brazilian reais for participating in the murders. They would then dig another hole and bury the suitcases and bags, while Sousa cemented the site as a bricklayer. The men were due to return to Portugal on the 21st of October 2001, and with their family having no word from them when they didn't return to Portugal, they were reported missing to Portuguese police. Guerriero pretended to be a victim of the robbery who had escaped, but then fled to Barra do Corda in Maranhão. He was arrested on the 23rd of August 2001 by the Polícia Federal, and his arrest made international headlines due to the bizarre and brazen nature of the crime. The then Portuguese Prime Minister António Guterres spoke of his profound shock at the crime. Guerriero told police that he was a monster and deserved the death penalty, confessing to the crimes on the 27th of August 2001. However, Brazil had abolished capital punishment way back in 1889. And in 1998, the Constitution solidified the abolition of capital punishment for all but wartime military offences. However, Guerriero would tell El Povo that the plan for the crime started as a joke, and they only planned to kill them a few days before, when they realised that they would be arrested if they escaped. However, the entire crime allegedly took 1 month to plan. The bodies were found on the 24th of August 2001, and a mass funeral for the sucks took place on the 31st of August 2001. The trial took place at the 4th Criminal Court of Fortaleza throughout February 2002 and was overseen by Judge Rosalene Facundo. Guerriero got 150 years in prison. Cavalcante, Santos, and Herrera all got 120 years, and surprisingly Filho got 162 years in prison. According to CM Journal, Guerriero attempted to escape prison 4 times, including while awaiting his trial. However, Guerriero has demonstrated good behaviour, with O Povo reporting that he studied pedagogy and English literature remotely, graduating from a private university, which his lawyer would lament, as in Brazil a prisoner cannot study in a public university. He was given a 7-day temporary release in April 2024. The Brazilian justice system has scheduled his release for between 2027 and 2031. Initially, it was proposed to make the site a memorial to the victims, according to the BBC, but as of 2016, O Povo reports that it is in ruins and falling apart. Thank you for watching. Please do yourself a favour and hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified of when new videos come out. Also, why not hit that like button and leave a nice comment? It helps more than you know, and your support is truly appreciated. Until next time, stay awesome, stay classy, be kind to everyone you meet, have an amazing day, and remember, the truth is always more interesting than fiction.